All right, guys. Hey, what's going on? This is Cimiluca-Radzins, CEO of Calagia, and today I just wanted to let everybody know about one thing, and that is if you are a distributor in the state of California, what you need to be thinking about in terms of taxes. All right, so it seems to be a very good thing for many people, and I wanted just to demystify a few things as your role as a distributor. And so, first off, a cannabis distributor in the state of California is somebody who first sells or transports cannabis between licensed cannabis businesses, right? So, you're really moving cannabis between the cultivator, the manufacturer, the retailer, and the lab. So, you've got not only, quality control procedures that you have to implement into your business, but you also have a lot of control procedures around taxes. Unfortunately, the taxation falls under even though it falls under the cultivators and the retailers, it's the responsibility of the distributor to actually be able to collect the tax from those guys and remit it to the state. Right, so being very familiar with your taxes and the CDTFA, so the California Department of Tax and Fees Administration, they are going to be your best friend. And so your responsibility is to make sure that you've not only registered with them and filed a seller's permit, but also a cannabis tax permit. Those are two things that you've got to do if you're a distributor or if you're planning to be a distributor. And once you figure that out, you've really got to establish a very clear relationship with your cultivators, your manufacturers, and your retailers to understand what you need to collect, right? So do you need to collect a cannabis tax from your cultivators? If so, what type? There's a different tax for trim, there's a different tax for flower, and there's a different tax for fresh plants. So California makes it kind of complicated. So it's very important for you as a distributor to understand what tax you're collecting from your cultivator and when you need to collect that tax. Similarly, you're going to be dealing with retailers. I mean, you're moving everything from the bottom of the supply chain to the very top of the supply chain. And so your responsibility with the retailers is to make sure that you're collecting a 15% excise tax and remitting that back to the state of California. Now, guys, where it gets complicated is that the state of California basically makes you differentiate your relationship with the retailer. And they basically say, do you have an arm's length transaction or not? And so, are you curious what's an arm's length transaction? Well, an arm's length transaction is basically is the relationship that you have with that retailer, is it at an arm's length? Is it, do you not have defined ownership? Do you not have any really, let's say, authority over the pricing or the business decisions into that other kind of business? Typically, my test is, if you are literally a distributor and you're trying to find clients which are retailers, you have an arm's length transaction. Typically, when you wouldn't have an arm's length transaction is if you are vertically integrated, if you have ownership in retail entities, and then you might not have an arm's length transaction. The point is, you got to figure that out, because how you calculate your taxes and how you will collect the taxes from the retailer really depends on that. So as you can see, this is a complicated issue, right? This is a complicated issue that I can't really demystify and tell you exactly how to do it in a YouTube video, but I wanted to give you some tips on how you can actually do it. So the first tip is make sure that you're very familiar with the CDTFA website. I'll put the link in the bio, or I'll put the link underneath in the notes. But make sure that you're familiar with it. They have an amazing guide that kind of walks you through these things. Step number 2 is make sure that you've got your paperwork and your contracts in place. This to me is like the number one thing that can save you thousands of dollars upfront and and in the future, right? So if you understand what tax you need to collect, when you need to collect it, and you make sure that you've got the documentation to support it, that's going to help. Step number 3, work with a professional. As a as a business professional, a licensed CPA, I realized that it's a very complicated subject, right? And even CPAs are having difficulties figuring all this stuff out because it's so new. So make sure that you've educated yourself, but once you've educated yourself, work with a professional who has done this before. On Calagia, we have a ton of professionals that are, licensed to do accounting work, licensed to do legal work, that can help you, and hopefully at an affordable rate, right? So those are the 3 steps that I would suggest that you can implement into your business. And please leave a comment. I mean, I'm here as a business professional, as an advisor, and as the CEO of Calagia to make sure that you understand your roles and responsibilities as a distributor. So guys, thank you so much. Would love some feedback on this video. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, and how I can make them better. Make sure that you come back at least once a week here. I will be doing some live streaming on certain subjects that I feel are necessary for you. All right, thank you so much and have a lovely day.